Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today, my friends, we're going to be diving deeper into Voruna, the 52nd Warframe to be introduced to the game. Now today, what we're going to be doing, I'm going to make sure that you understand how she functions. Yes, so we're going to be going over the abilities, and I'm also going to give you a build. But as a short description of Voruna, because a lot of you guys are curious, from my humble point of view, she's definitely worth farming. She's a interactive Warframe. She is very dynamic. She's very wolfy, if you will, but being a wolf Warframe, you should have saw this one coming. She is a melee-based Warframe. So if you're not interested in the whole melee gameplay aspect of it, you might want to look somewhere else. That's not to say it's not a great Warframe, or efficient, or powerful, or all of the above. It's just a bit more catered to melee. There is another way you can play her, not so much into melee, but more on that later. So first off, let's talk about the actual abilities of the Warframe. Starting off with her passive, she doesn't have a passive. The passive will be controlled by one of her normal abilities. If you keep pressed your 1, 2, 3 or her default 4, you can change your passive. Her first ability is called Shroud of Dinar. Now this one, as a passive, guards Voruna, increasing her parkour velocity. I use this one when I want to get out of dodge or when I'm using normal star chart stuff. Normal star chart stuff extends to up until level 100, 150. I just simply want to move faster. This is a huge increase in mobility, and I absolutely love using this one. But if you tap it, the normal ability, yes, goes like this. Dinar Shroud Voruna with invisibility and accelerates her speed. So keep in mind that accelerated speed does stack with the parkour velocity, and you go super quick through missions. It's absolutely fantastic, especially if you want to do something like spy if you're bored of your Wukong by this point. Invisibility ends when Voruna attacks. For a short time after the melee attack lands, melee attacks have increased critical damage and status chance and inflict bleed. Melee kill an enemy during this time to extend the melee buff. You get a couple of seconds when you come out of stealth. If you get a kill, you get a couple of more seconds on the buff. It's absolutely fantastic. It's the reason why you will keep activating Shroud of Dinar. There are two reasons. One, this buff, which you will want to get that fantastic extra damage for your melee attacks. And second, the survivability aspect for her. Staying cloaked means a whole lot of survivability because the enemies will ignore you. Now, she survives quite well even in high levels, but keep in mind that if you're going to be going levels in the thousands, if you don't want to use rolling guard, that random rocket from a bombard or something will kill you. So do bear that one in mind. More on that later. Second ability is going to be called Fangs of Raksh. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name of the wolf. Raksh. The passive on this one, check it out. Rash guards Voruna with status effect resistance. This is a huge survivability tool, right? Normally, if you're having trouble surviving, you're going to keep this one on. I find myself, depending on the level of content that I'm doing, I'm kind of cycling through the passives. If I want to do more damage, you're going to do Lycut's Hunt passive. We'll talk about that later. If you want to have survivability, Fangs of Rakash passive. And if you want to move faster, you're simply doing Star Chart normal low-level stuff, you're going to go with the first ability passive. But yeah, for survivability, you're looking at Fangs of Rakash or Raksh. Incidentally, this is also, from my humble point of view, her most powerful ability. Check this one out. If you tap it, Raksh Fang stares into your enemies. 5 random status effects are applied at 10 stacks each on an enemy. On target's death, spread the status effects to nearby enemies. This is absolutely insane. You can clear up to level 100 plus content in Warframe regardless of the target that you're hitting, except bosses of course, just by using this ability alone, and I will demonstrate how that one works. Of course, it's going to be affected by power, strength and range. You want to build that range so you can easily spread it, but also considering how you're going to be playing this one, a clump up ability, something like Nidus's ability Larva, or even better Korra's ability Ensnare will work fantastic for you. Her third ability, Lycut's Hunt. Now this one on a passive, we already talked a bit about this one. Guards Voruna with increased heavy attack efficiency. How much? 90%, right? So you're looking at about 90% efficiency. You're still going to lose 1x per heavy attack. And we will be playing Voruna into heavy attack. Yes, I am not a fan of melee builds normally, but I do enjoy the Warframe, so I want to show you how you would play and synergize with her. Lycut's Hunt to sustain the pack. Enemies killed by melee attacks drop health orbs, and enemies killed by headshot drop energy orbs. Essentially, this is also the ability that you give over to the Helminth. Yes, so you can put it on other frames as well, to a lesser effect, of course. Increase the duration of Lycut's Hunt by killing enemies affected by 5 or more status effects. Yes, so you see how this one works. Essentially, you activate it, and each time you kill an enemy under the effects of the Fangs of Raksh, you're going to be able to get a refresh on this one. I never run out of duration on this one. It's absolutely fantastic. fantastic. Essentially, you're gonna have it up all the time. You need energy, you go for headshots. You need more health, you're just gonna melee, and you will be getting most of your damage from melee because we will be playing into condition overload, obviously, because again of all the status effects we can get easily on our targets through her most powerful ability. Again, that's gonna be the second ability. Her fourth ability came under a lot of scrutiny, sadly, and I replaced it because it simply wasn't all that efficient. She gets down on all fours, she gets 4 or 5 jumps at targets. If you kill a target, you get more. There's a lot of slash damage involved, but honestly, it's not really worth using, at least from what testing we did so far. I know it's a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. I swapped it out for Korra's ability in Snare. Look at all that range, absolutely fantastic. With the mods on, it just helps you out a whole lot more. Because in gameplay, essentially, what you're going to be doing when it comes to high level, not low level, you're going to be going Cloak, you're going to be using Ensnare, which will not break your Cloak, you're going to be using Fangs of Rash on your targets, which will not be breaking your Cloak, and then you're going to be going to town with your melee weapon with a heavy attack build, and of course Lycut's Hunt will be active at all times. Again, you want more damage, keep Lycut's Hunt passive active. If you want more survivability, your Fangs of Rash passive. If not, for mobility and normal level content, Shroud of Dinar passive active. Now hopefully that made it easier for you to understand what we're going to be doing next. So I'm going to show you the actual setup for her. I put into her, okay, I put for Forma, including an Umbra Forma. You do not need to do this, alright? We're going to start off with Swift Momentum, the Aura. You don't necessarily need to go this route, definitely not, but I would recommend you give it a spin. 30% heavy attack, wind up speed. Again, we're going to be relying on our melee weapon to get a whole lot of damage, heavy attack build, and plus 6-second combo duration. In the Excellence slot, you'll see something that you don't really see on a whole lot of Warframe builds. This is Amar's Anguish, and I'll be honest with you, I did not care about this set up until today. You get 15% bullet jump and 15% sprint speed, which is not really all that important. We have this one here for the set bonus. I want you to look at that. Teleport to a target within 20 meters on using a heavy attack. You get twice the bonus because we're also using Amar's Hatred. You don't need to use to. If you don't want to use Amar's Hatred with 30% armor and 15% ability strength, because the actual bonuses it gives as a mod aren't really all that fantastic, you can just simply go with Amar's Anguish being an excellent slot. You're still going to be getting that 10 meters. I go with both for usability and because it's, well, comfortable. Prime Continuity, you gotta have duration on this one. The more duration you have on this one, the more comfortable you're gonna be able to execute the build. You can do it with less duration as well. Your free ability is not gonna cause you problems in sense of the duration if you're gonna keep rolling from kill to kill, but your first ability might. So I would still argue go with Prime Continuity and Augur Message. I cheaped on this one simply because I could replace Augur Message with something like Constitution. That would give me, yay, another 4% ability duration plus the faster knockdown recovery, but honestly that would mean another 4 and I'm done. So there you go. If you want a bit more duration, you can go like so. Honestly, you have more than enough between Prime Continuity and Augur Message. Stretch is a must-have for your second ability. Again, you're gonna be able to increase the range of that spread radius, and it's a big deal. 100% go for a little bit of range. I don't feel you need to go for Augur Reach. You can, if you want to, you can replace for example, Amar's Hatred and just go with a 10 meters teleport and go with more range, but from my gameplay it was fine. It's gonna be fine for high level content when you're gonna be grouping up your targets together using Ensnare, so you don't need that big range anyway. You can even leave Stretch off if you want to. If you want to replace Stretch and you're looking for a little bit more survivability for those super high levels, I would recommend you go with Rolling Guard. Again, Rolling Guard is an option here instead of range or a little bit of duration or even Amar's Hatred. Umbral Vitality and Umbral Intensify. We gotta talk about why didn't you use the Archon Continuity and Archon Intensify, because these seem like no-brainers. Let's keep in mind that we're still getting that 55% duration, but also abilities that inflict Toxin status effect will be also applying a corrosive status effect. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. The game sees it as a single application. So for example, you touch your 2 ability, you get your 5 random status effects applied at 10 stacks on your target. You get yourself the Toxin, so you get yourself 10 Toxin stacks on your target, and you're only gonna get a single one corrosive stack out of Archon Continuity. And it's the same deal for Archon Vitality as well. You're not gonna be getting yourself another 10 stacks of heat proc. You're gonna get yourself only one, right? So with this one on, you're getting from 10 stacks of heat when you get the heat on to 11. Keep in mind that her second ability is not something I would call super reliable outside of playing into melee condition overload, because you don't care about what status types you put on your target. You simply care that you put some on. But you know what? Considering the movement and how fast you can cast this ability without natural talent, you can simply double stack. Boom, boom. Hit it twice and you're going to be getting yourself so many stacks on your targets. And I'll show you exactly how this one works. So again, Archon Vitality and Archon Continuity, we're not going to be using these simply because they're not worth using. You're only going to get one extra stack, not an extra 10, as it would make sense. And I do believe that's it. Streamline for a little bit of efficiency. You gotta have yourself a little bit of efficiency. Not that you're gonna be spamming a whole lot with this one, but still it is important for you to be able to cast your abilities as often as you need, which is why Prime Flow is here. Again, it's not necessarily about making what should make the most amount of damage on paper. It's about what actually will get you to a good gameplay state with the Warframe. You get what I'm saying? You can always make more mathematically viable builds, but actual workable builds that you can use, that's a bit of a different story. When it comes to Arcanes, Arcane Energized best in slot with Molt Augmented. Instead of Molt Augmented, you can use the Duration one as well if you want a little bit more leeway, if you want a little bit more comfort when it comes to your gameplay. But honestly, this from Continuity and Message, you got plenty of duration. More ability strength in this case will be significant. We're using a whole lot of ability strength on this one simply because it will modify the critical multiplier of your Shroud of Dinar, right? So this is when a whole lot of your melee damage is going to get amplified. This is why we want a little bit more power strength. Power strength will also increase the base damage of your two ability Fangs of Raksh. That slash that you see over there, 425. Of course, this will affect the damage you're going to be doing to your targets. And again, I will show you how this one works. Now, hopefully, that was all the explanations I wanted to. If in case I forgot something, I'll come back to it later. When it comes to the companion, you can use whatever you want. It doesn't really matter all that much. For example, you can use your Panzer Wolfby. So we're going to be spawning in level 165 Exo Gogstat by popular demand. And of course, I will not turn Invincible. I want you guys to see exactly what's the survivability like. I turn Cloak on this one, activate my free passive, which should be on all the time, my free ability, and snare the targets all together, like so. Put my 2 on any of them, and just simply go to town melee mode. That wasn't a heavy attack. Did I mention this is a heavy attack build? That wasn't a heavy attack. Did you notice something else on my buff bar? Something doesn't smell right. Yes, that is a extinguished dragon key I'm using because it was the only way to kind of build up a little bit of, multiplier. So we're going to do that again, just to make sure you guys don't think it's a fluke or anything of the sort. We're cloaked, we come around, we put our stuff on, crowd control, our 2 is on, and then simply go to town. And now I got enough combo multiplier to show you a heavy attack, because again, it's about the heavy attack. That's why we're using the free passive, so we get more efficiency. Efficiency is at 90%. We're gonna repeat just that, cloaked, because again, that's your main survivability tool, and snare. My 2 is on, and now I'm gonna do a melee attack. That was a single attack, sending enemies flying like that. How's that? How is that? And of course, the efficiency working out beautifully well. You're looking at, what is that? 90% on that one. Keep in mind that only the initial target had all the status effects. In order to split up the status effects, you gotta kill the target and then it splits to the other. So we'll repeat that test one more time, just for you fantastic peoples. Cloaked again. And snare. If you kill this little target with a heavy attack, let's see now. Okay, killed with a heavy attack. Now it's spread to everybody. You see? That's the power right there. You gotta make sure that your status is spread to nearby enemies. And in order to do that, you gotta kill one target really quick. Just make sure that on that target you have your second ability. And that is kind of the power of the build. Honestly, it's extremely, extremely potent. And I haven't even taken off my dragon key yet because it's pointless. A one-shot is a one-shot. And I can't show you more than this in the simulacrum. That's why I have the dragon key on. Now I want to show you the value of that Amar set, that 20-meter teleport. Yes, because I didn't get to show you before. So we're going to be pausing the target so they can sit at a distance from me, so you can see exactly what kind of power we're talking about. Keep in mind that the Amar set will teleport you at the end of the animation. Yes, at the end of the animation of your melee weapon. So essentially, again, you would be with your free up, cloaked, something of the sort. And now I'm simply going to be teleporting to my targets if you're going to be doing a heavy attack. Yeah? So, like so. if your cursor drifts off the target before your heavy attack wind-up finishes, you're not gonna hit it. I mean, look, I start off with red, but if I drift off, that's not gonna happen. On the other hand, if I keep my cursor on it, at the end, it's gonna teleport me to the target. So essentially, that's how that one works. That's why we're gonna be using the Amar set. Now, one more thing, well, two more things that I forgot to mention. Don't forget to use Dexterity Arcanes on your primary and your secondary. We're talking about secondary and primary dexterity, and of course Naramon will be helping out with your melee as well. Now let's head on over to Steel Path to see how this one looks in actual gameplay. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now let's see how the build plays in actual Steel Path mission. I'm gonna try to build myself some multiplier, of course. Heavy attack teleport, absolutely beautiful. Back to cloak, because that's where your survivability is at. And absolutely murder whatever stands before you. You saw that because of my 2 ability on that target. It exploded, and the status effects got passed along, which absolutely destroyed whatever was there. I don't know, a bombard or anything of the sort. I'm gonna use my ensnare. Any other targets? Sadly not. One heavy attack, and of course is gonna be blown to kingdom come a million times. That is a massive overkill, I'm aware, but that's simply how the build plays. Kinda like that. You're never really gonna get to hit a target more than a couple of times depending on the actual target. Again, put your 2 on, then hit it with your melee. Heavy attack gang, of course, if you already got the charges or you're trying to give off a little bit more power. You don't really need to, you can spam E if that's what your heart desires. You put your 2 on and you spam E, that's the basic form. If not, I'm gonna be teleporting with a heavy attack. Wait, too far away. Teleporting with a heavy attack, like so. And keep in mind to always go cloak for survivability. Survivability can become an issue. If it does become an issue for you, rolling guard is your best friend in that case. Look at all the stacks on that target, wow. And that's the heavy attack. And another heavy attack. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. I'm not sure what else I can show you. You can take this build to levels in the thousands, though survivability again might creep up on you and it might become an issue. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and the power is simply off the charts. You can also integrate Archon shards into this, but I'm not sure how many players right now have enough Archon shards to realistically min-max a brand new Warframe. But again, Archon shards are another level of customization. You can go for those if you so desire. What else was there? Ensnare your targets, hit your targets. I'm gonna teleport to it because it's more fun that way. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. What would you have liked to see more in this build guide? And if you feel anything was unclear, I would love to get back to you again in the comment section down below. Oh, I forgot to tell them about the melee. Ah, shite. I know I forgot something. So I'm using the Sarofang because it's her signature weapon. It just came out, it looks cool, and kinda that's the only reason. You get the Sarofang, it's not a bad weapon, and this would be the build for it. We're talking about a heavy attack build, of course, condition overload with amalgam organ shatter. We also got Gladiator Might, Dispatch Overdrive, love this one, together with Blood Rush, Prime Fury, Shocking Truth, and Prime Fever Strike. Again, we're using the 90s and the, well, 90 and 165% one on this one for the condition overload build. I would not recommend you go for the 60s unless, of course, you don't want to format that much. This is a pretty standard melee build, so there's really nothing special here. Now, if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the upper portion of the screen for Patreon right now. And I do believe, my friends, that's kind of it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.